There are three main parts to any recipe. Most of you would recognize them, but for the sake of this episode's story, I'm going to break them down for you using a Moscow Mule as our example. The most obvious is the list of ingredients. In the case of our mule, they are 2 ounces of vodka, 4 ounces of ginger beer, half an ounce of lime juice, the real stuff only, 1 teaspoon of honey, and lime wedges for garnish because you got to make it pretty. Next, there's the instructions. They go a little something like this. 1, fill a copper mug with crushed ice and add the ingredients. 2, gently stir to combine. 3, if desired, add a teaspoon of honey syrup for sweetness. And number 4, garnish with a wedge of lime and serve cold. Voila. And the third element is the head note, aka the written preamble at the top of a recipe that's supposed to give you some context. To me, as a Black chef, a recipe's head note is the most important part, period. At their best, they provide more than just an introduction to a dish or a drink. They tell the story of its origin, give credit where credit is due, and shine a light on the ingredients and people that help bring a recipe to life. Now here's the problem. Black people's contributions are often overlooked, but it's not just about being recognized in the head notes. It's about being recognized in culture. Head notes are a cultural accounting of who all were in the room where it happened, and so often, we talented, ingenious, inventive Black people, we were there. We were more than there. We were essential. And today, we're here. We are essential. Welcome to Season 2 of the Black Kitchen series, a mini-series that shines a light on the brilliant and Black innovators changing the face of food and drink as we know it, the history makers of today, many of whom will be in the head notes of tomorrow. I'm Chef Jade Verrett, aka Jade of all Jades, and I'll be your guide on this road trip across America as we go in search of the Black chefs, historians, healers, farmers, activists, and distillers whose stories deserve to be told. We began our 6-episode journey by trading in the frosty air of New York City for the warmth and hospitality of the American South. If you travel east of the old hickory pine forests of Arkansas, just before you get to the Mississippi River, there's a Black family-owned craft distillery on Cherry Street in the small town of Helena. Delta Dirt is unique in the American distillery industry for a few reasons. 1, they grow their own produce and grains on a farm that's been in their family for 4 generations. 2, they're the only Black-owned farm to bottle in the country. And 3, they make vodka from sweet potatoes. So how are we doing today, family? How are we doing down at the Delta Dirt?
Doing well.
Yeah? So you all are a family-run business. How is that? What's the dynamics like on that? Yo, y'all's faces are mad funny. I'm calling it out. Now, before we get into the details of the conversation, I'd like everyone listening to imagine your own family dynamic. Picture your parents or your children, your brothers and your sisters. Now imagine running a business with them.
We are a real dysfunctional family. We're just cooperating.
I mean, she probably already can tell that right just from sitting here.
But how is it? How's that been? How's it running a business with your kids? Did you ever see yourself doing that?
I did not. I mean, I grew up farming with my dad, right? And then I went off to college and went away and then come back and have my boys come back to be a part of this. I never thought that would be possible, right?
That gentle voice with a sweet spirit is Harvey, dad of the Williams family and CEO of Delta Dirt Distillery. We had our conversation around the tasting room bar, and sitting next to him was Miss Donna, wife, co-founder, and chief brand officer. In addition to sharing her name with my mother, Donna has a warmth you have to build up to, but once you do, you're family. Bottom line, Donna keeps things together. To my left was youngest son Thomas, a cool, calm, and collected presence. It's no surprise to me that he'd be the head distiller and genius behind the spirit recipes. And finally, behind the bar, but always on center stage, was the oldest son Donovan, director of operations and sales. Whether or not they're as dysfunctional as Miss Donna says, I can tell you they have this distillery running as smooth as the sweet potato vodka they make. So tell me about the background of Delta Dirt, Harvey.
Actually, it was wanting to start a business and wanting to have a business tied to our farm. I just didn't know what that was.
Okay.
We have been away for 25, 26 years, and when we moved back, just wanted to have something tied to the business. And then my baby brother was talking about all of these things that they were doing at the farm show, because we grow vegetables, so they keep up with the industry with these vegetable shows. But he was talking about the sweet potato vodka that they saw at this show, and he just said it in passing, and I thought, that's where we ought to be going right there. We've grown sweet potatoes on our farm since the 80s. So from then I thought, okay, let me figure out, can we do this? And where Donna came in is I did all of the background, figure out whether you can make a living, whether it's feasible to do, because there's not many people out there doing sweet potato vodka. We found 3 people in the country that we know
That was
of
about to be my next question.
that are doing it. The one that my brother found out in North Carolina, but there's someone in California and someone in New Jersey we found. So is it possible, is it feasible? And I figured that I could do it, but I think I may have gotten stuck in this whole analysis paralysis and saying, are we gonna do this or not? And then Donna is the one who took the hand in the back and said, are you either gonna, can I say it the way you said it?
I don't know.
I would love to hear it the way she said it, actually.
Really?
I think, yeah, I want to hear it just like she said it.
Listen, what's the worst that could happen? So you need to make a decision. We're gonna do this or not, because you seem obsessed with it. So you either shit or get off the pot. That's what she said.
Get right or get left in a clean way,
There we
right?
go.
We're
There
going
we
to do
go.
it or we're not.
Get right or get
I
left.
like that. Get right. I'm gonna steal that.
No, go ahead. It's all
Get right, get left.
It's yours.
Okay.
It's yours, mama. So Harvey got right, so he wouldn't get left. And the rest of the business immediately started to take shape.
We knew what the name was, and we knew what our tagline would be. Delta Dirt Distillery, Delta because this whole area is the Delta, and we're proud of that. I mean, there are good people here. Yeah, it's farmland, it's rural America, but there are good people here. And the dirt came easy because we were doing sweet potatoes, those sweet potatoes coming out of the dirt, so thus Delta Dirt Distillery. And then raising spirits in the Delta, there's a play there for raising spirits, which we are producing spirits here. And then, uplift in this community, which we wanted to do, but we had no idea the kind of impact we were going to have. I mean, people are coming in all the time and saying, this doesn't feel like Helena, and they're inspired to do something themselves. And I like that, because this is a beautiful area, it's a beautiful street, and there are beautiful people here.
Raising spirits in the Delta. Now, I love that, because the only thing I like better than a good spirit is a good pun about spirits. Starting a business with your family is wild. Starting a family business with your community in mind is compassionate. But with this origin story, honey, we haven't even licked the spoon yet.
I grew up on this farm. My dad, my granddad, and my great-grandfather. So it started with my great-grandfather in the late 1800s. And he farmed that land his whole life. He was a sharecropper on that land.
Okay.
And then my granddad, who I just grew up knowing as Daddy D, was the one who bought the farm in 1949.
Oh, he bought it, so there's no more sharecropping.
He bought it out of
straight
sharecropping.
out.
He brought it clear and free.
And did he do that with what he was making from the farm? How did that work? Because I know that wasn't easy for sharecroppers.
It wasn't, because sharecropping as a system just wasn't designed for anyone to get out of, especially black people, right? So what he did at the beginning of that year, found out what he owed on the land and picked his cotton and took his cotton to a different giner than his landowner and got what that cotton was worth.
Okay.
And that plus the money he was making on the side doing moonshine, and went and paid the farm off.
Wow.
Now, since we're being really candid about this conversation,
we're talking.
My dad told me this story, and then he told me the reaction of his landowner, and he said, N-word, you sold my cotton? And he said, my granddad just simply replied, yes, sir, I did. And that was that.
And if you don't know what sharecropping is, now would be the time to do your Googles. So we take that, and he was able to purchase that land, which is such a beautiful thing, especially for your family, because look where you are right now off of this same land.
Yeah.
So you take that and you bring it up to today.
Well, I mean, there's an evolution that took place on that farm. First of all, on that whole moonshine thing threw all of us off, for a loop, because we didn't know that that was in our family. And my dad comes in with this jug, which is sitting right over there. He comes in with this jug saying, hey, this is the only evidence we have left of your granddad doing moonshine. Like, really? So we didn't know that. And he brought it to Donna and I, and we were in the middle of this project. So I believe my dad, but I also called his sister. I called my aunt and said, hey, Aunt Tommy, what's this about Daddy D doing moonshine? And she said, yeah. She told me, she said, yeah, he did. But after he did that, it was done. He didn't do moonshine anymore. That was his commitment. And she said, I know that that was his commitment because we had some rough times after that. So there was a means for
But you all never got the moonshine recipe.
We did not.
But you just so happened to come full circle in this way, and Delta Dirt came to be, not knowing that that he made moonshine.
Yeah. So then my dad started farming after my granddad, and it was 86 acres that he was able to buy. And in the big scheme of things, 86 acres is not a lot of land to sort of sustain farming in the Delta. I mean, it takes a lot of acres of soybeans, cotton, corn, wheat, and those type things, row cropping. So my dad diversified and went into vegetables. The alternative was to get out, and many black farmers did at that time.
So what types of vegetables was he starting with?
Squash, okra, purple whole peas, and sweet potatoes.
And he didn't know that these sweet potatoes were getting ready to create something for the family, for the lineage down the road.
No, he did not.
How beautiful is that?
I know, it's
Do you ever think about how powerful that is?
I have, and it's only after you sort of go through this whole reflection thing, right? Like, this is pretty amazing that we've taken these sweet potatoes and saving the farm for the next generation, like my dad did for his generation.
I have to admit, riding into East Arkansas, I was thinking of innovation as a technical advancement or some sort of new tool or technique that improves an old mode of doing something in a big way. But hearing the multi-generational story of the Delta Dirt Farm, I'm wondering if it's more than that. Or less than that? Innovation can be bold, incremental, adaptive, ancestral, and dare I say, serendipitous?
Yeah, there's a little story there too, because my granddad bought the farm and it was 86 acres. You haven't tasted this product yet.
Not yet, I'm ready.
But our vodka is 86 proof for a couple of reasons. One, my wife and I are high school sweethearts. And we graduated together in 1986.
That's so precious and beautiful. I love a black family story. Okay, tell me more. Keep going.
Then in addition,
don't do that. Because you wouldn't even be here.
But in addition to that, the original farm was bought. It was 86 acres that my granddad bought. So that vodka is 86 proof.
So that's our confirmation.
That's confirmation that we're on.
That's your angel numbers.
That's our magic number.
Thank you. Yes.
So what's interesting?
Yeah, I like that.
Let me talk.
Yes, Ms. Donna, come on.
Interesting is that when we started, we felt like we were behind because most people had a recipe that their grandfather or somebody left them, or we'd go to these distilleries and they all have stories, and we thought, what are we gonna do? We don't have a story. And then we just told
our truth,
and it just resonated with everyone.
I can't believe you thought you didn't have a story.
Well, because I guess it was pieces. I guess when you're in it, you don't know, but we
You saw little fragments, and then the whole picture came together. Because the minute Harvey started telling me about Grandpa and making the moonshine and the cotton, and then that's a story.
Yeah.
And then not even growing vegetables to then creating a business from what he started to grow on that land.
In the Delta.
That's 86 angel numbers.
86.
I love that.
That's our number.
I sure do love a good Black family story. A farm bought out of sharecropping, high school sweethearts turned business partners, kids coming back to help start the business. We got it all. But the paprika on top of this potato salad is yet to come. And that's turning a sweet potato into vodka. So you said you wanted to make a business. Mm-hmm. Did you have any background whatsoever in the spirit world?
Not at all. Okay. In fact, Don and I weren't even big drinkers, not even really social drinkers. But we are now. We are developing a good palate for good premium
fine spirits.
Fine spirits. How about that? But it wasn't about that, and even this place is not about that. This is about creating something from nothing and bringing pride back to an area, back to our farm, back to our family. I'd like to thank my grandfather, my great-grandfather. They're proud of what we're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Thomas, you were telling me earlier, because the area that the distillery is in, Thomas was telling me that the businesses kind of all fell off a while back, and that you all are bringing some life back into the community, starting with the distillery. What's your background? When you went to college and you went and studied, what's your background in?
I was in college studying kinesiology with the pre-med focus, so they kind of caught me in that sweet spot of graduating, gap year. So the distillery fell right in that perfect time, and they kind of swooped me up and asked me if I would figure out how to turn a sweet potato into a vodka.
So how did you go from pre-med to I'm gonna be the top distiller and figure out how to make sweet potato vodka?
The leap was, hey, if I'm gonna spend the next however many years trying to start a life in whatever focus, medical, why not spend that same time and effort and energy doing something completely different, but at least I'm doing it for the family.
Okay, and how was the process of getting that recipe right, getting that together? Like, I can imagine you did not know how to make vodka.
No.
I do not know how to make vodka. I am a chef. So tell me how you learned how to figure out how to turn a sweet potato, what your grandfather put onto this land, into vodka.
Luckily, I had a lot of scientific research background my last senior year. I worked in a lab, so I was able to go through and look at these journals and look at it at a scientific level before actually going off to a program in Louisville, Kentucky called Moonshine University.
What was that process like in trying to get that recipe right?
A lot of trial and error, mostly error, but
which is usually the case initially until you make a beautiful thing, right?
Exactly, but luckily doing it with the family, there's not as much pressure. It's much more kind of lenient and more free. I kind of look at that as your own lab.
It definitely looks like one, because I have many questions about the things that are going on in there. Thomas's lab, aka the actual distillery, is a sight to behold. I was actually blown away. Let me paint a picture for you. There's an array of elaborate machinery, from bubbling vats and intricate pipes that look like clarinets to large stills and towering fermenters. Meanwhile, the scent of freshly distilled alcohol hangs in the air like a delicious promise. If you can't tell, I was just a little bit parched. Anyway, Delta Dirt didn't want to just be another vodka. Their goal was to be premium.
Thomas and I went to the liquor store, and we bought vodka from the full spectrum, low end, mid-grade, where everybody's buying, and then the premium stuff. What are they spending so much money on this for? And the intent was not to try to replicate anybody. It was to see, what are they doing, and why is this low quality? Why is this premium? And we ended up in that premium category with our sweet potato vodka, and that's...
Now, how do you know that? Because you don't drink.
No, that's a good one.
Got him.
He sipped.
I sip. It tastes good. It tastes. So there have been some independent bodies that have told us, "Oh, you guys are good." So we won the. Thomas, you want to tell them what we won?
Yeah, tell me, Thomas.
Oh, you passing? Yeah,
okay.
I was gonna go with it. Okay.
You pass it off to him, bro. You pass it back.
Pass it back. Kind of one of the first reassurances, affirmation that we're kind of on the right track with what our product is, the San Francisco World Spirit Competition.
Soon after they launched the vodka, Delta Dirt entered it into the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, the largest and most prestigious competition in the world. It's like the Super Bowl of booze, Sundance of hooch. And guess what?
So we heard back I want to say at like 2 o'clock in the morning, I got an email saying, the results are in, click here to check it. And it said, Dirt Distillery, sweet blend vodka, double gold.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on, somebody. And this is from you sitting with in formulating the recipe.
Yeah.
Playing around.
That would be our first full year on the market.
Wow. How do you feel? Like, how does that make you feel that you didn't know how to make vodka and you made a premium vodka from something that your grandfather, because your grandfather was innovative in his own way,
yeah,
right? You know, with just going with cotton.
Really?
And then you said, I'm gonna bring vegetables, I'm gonna bring this to the land. So how do you feel being able to take what your grandfather did in an innovative way and then do that even more so?
I guess you can say it runs in the blood to be innovative and kind of be not even a trendsetter, but just to...
No, you can say it, go ahead. No, do it. Like, put yourself out there.
I'll say it, but just to do something that's completely different and against the norm and not being afraid to try it. If it didn't work out, you can always try something else.
Because what's going to happen? They're going to tell us no, we can fail, and then we'll move on to the next thing. But you all didn't do that.
We did not.
So I want to learn a little bit more about your farm to bottle process, because I hear that you are the only Black what, where, and who what? Tell me more, Donovan.
Yeah, we're the only Black farm distillery in the country.
Wow.
Farm to bottle.
Make it
farm to bottle.
There you go.
And all that means is that the 95% of the things we use in our mash, we grow on our farm. So it makes things easy. It's something to be proud about, and it's living in the moment. It's hard to describe and encompass. We're making history with every bottle, with every sweet potato we make. So we're making history with anyone who comes back and gets a tour. So it's just something very proud to have and to know that we're making a difference, and that's the biggest thing.
Who else is doing things in the Black distiller world?
When you're trying to get into something new, you don't have a background in it. You visit as many places that you can. So we went to a lot of distilleries. And then we joined some trade associations. And the American Craft Spirits Association was one of those. And I remember going to that first conference that Don and I first went to. And it was in Nashville, Tennessee. And we walked into this huge convention center. And I saw one other Black person in that room. And it was a guy, Chris Montana. He has a distillery in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Amazing guy. He ended up being my mentor through this process. And the thing that did it for me was that Saturday evening they had a banquet, and Chris, being the only Black distiller in the room, won 3 or 4 awards that night for his spirits that he had created. And I thought, this is amazing. And there have been other people since then that have wanted to do it, and I've done and will continue to do everything I can to support them. It's amazing. Just a little bit of support and encouragement goes a long way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's awesome. You also have inspired some young Black farmers in the area as well. Tell me about that. Tell me about that, Thomas.
There's a local company out of Little Rock that does these pickles. She does all things pickled. And she recently commented on one of our Instagram posts and said, "You guys have inspired me so much that I've started my own micro farm so I can truly be farm to jar for herself."
To pickle.
So that is amazing to me, because there have been a couple of other people that have been inspired by us and our story, which we just are in awe. We didn't know it would be that way. There's one lady who was here with her, I think she had her daughter with her, and she did the tour, heard the story, and she said, "I am coming back and I'm bringing my family." They live over in Memphis, but they have land here in this county, and we're going to go see our land, where we came from. And she came back with her daughter, her grandkids, her son-in-law. I mean, it was really, really amazing to see them go back and connect with their land here in this county.
And how you've been able to inspire that. I think that's really awesome. So you all have inspired other creators. Do you have advice for young distillers or people out there who might have farmland and they don't know what to do with it? Do you have good advice for them?
Date a farmer.
Date a farmer?
You dated a farmer.
I didn't. I said, "You're the farmer."
I'm the farmer, okay. I don't know. I think people should use what they have and go back and reconnect with their land, connect with their oldest living relatives. A lot of people here, they come and visit, and they used to live in this area, and now they live in Chicago, Detroit, New York, all over the country. But when they come back and they see what we're doing here, I think it brings some pride even for them. And then they get that bottle that says Helena, Arkansas on it. And I think that helps people, and they hear our story, it helps them to want to connect with what's left here. And I think us using sweet potatoes is what we know, and is something that we wanted to try to figure out whether we could do something with. Mm-hmm. And it all connected. So it must have been, what did you say? Is it ancestral?
Ancestral. I think it's ancestral. It just came through somehow. It really did.
I think it just speaks to, say, don't be afraid to try something different that might sound crazy to everyone else. Because in 2017, if we told a random person that we're gonna make some sweet potato vodka, I'm sure they would say,
yeah.
Okay.
And it's where?
Sure? Where? How? It would be this crazy idea.
Street, so yeah.
Despite what anyone might think or say, stick with it, do it. And to what my mom always says, if it doesn't work, you can try something else.
Try something else.
So to that, if you have like someone that has some farmland or something, you don't have to be a traditional farmer. You can find something unique and different to do with that land.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of the farm, now it's mostly my brother who's doing the farm. I had two brothers who are active in the farm, and then me. So when you go down to the farm, you'll see going down this rock road. I remember growing up, and there was a black family or farm almost every mile along that journey. And now, amazingly enough, we're the only black family left on that road.
Wow. And what happened with the rest of those families?
The older people, they pass away, but the children, they just move away from rural America. Okay. But the tragedy of it all is that black land is out of black hands, and you never get that back.
But you all have been able to take
We've been able to hang on to our farm.
And what do the kids say? We're losing recipes. The old people say we're losing recipes, but I don't think we're always losing recipes. I think you all took one recipe and then you turned it into another recipe, and then it'll be turned into another recipe, and that's how we continue that going down our lineage.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. All right, y'all. So tell me, what's next? What's happening at the Delta Dirt? What's coming down the road? I know it's not just sweet potato vodka. What else?
Well, in terms of products, we have a gin that we released at our 1-year anniversary called Tall Cotton Gin, which is one of my granddad's sayings when we had a good year or something's going good. He said, we're in tall cotton now.
Okay.
And then we have a bourbon that we're going to release, I'm hoping late this year, but I'm always told that the barrel gods will tell you when your bourbon's ready.
Absolutely.
So I think a lot of people are excited about this bourbon release.
I'm excited about this bourbon release, but I'm even more excited to try this sweet potato vodka because I don't think that I've had vodka made from sweet potatoes. I don't think so.
I don't think many people have. It's a one of a kind, and it's catching people by storm.
Now, is somebody gonna give me some vodka? Okay. Salud.
Salud.
We gotta look at each other. It's bad luck.
Okay. Thoughts?
Wow. That is very good. It doesn't even taste like sweet potatoes, but it's smooth, so you can tell the sweet potato made it nice. It's like it got a curved edge. You don't have sharp edge, it got a curved edge to it. I would make a nasty Moscow Mule with this. Woo! You know what? Scratch that. I've changed my mind. We're not making a Moscow Mule anymore. We have ourselves a new drink that's distilled from the love and connectedness of 4 generations. It's called the Delta Dirt and Ginger, the DD&G, trademark, better not steal it. And our head note for this DD&G recipe is this episode. It's this whole story, the story of the only black farm to bottle distiller in America. And it goes a little something like this. There's something beautiful happening over in Helena, Arkansas, and it goes by the name of Delta Dirt. The premium 86 proof vodka crafted by the first black farm-to-bottle distillers in America adds a flavor profile of resilience, sweetness, and a touch of serendipity to your cocktail. The deep-rooted ties to family creates the perfect balance between old and new, while the power of black land and black hands shines through in the sweet potato notes of every pour. Enjoy the Delta Dirt and Ginger on a night out or my favorite, a night in. One more thing before we go. A little postcard from Helena, Arkansas. It reads, "Dear friend, cousin, confidant. I left the first stop on this journey thinking about generational blessings, and in particular the innovation, creation, and ingenuity that comes from looking backwards as you're moving forward. I'm thinking about the Williams family, all coming together to contribute their particular talents to build something that's bigger and more impactful than they could have imagined, and how they might model for us the power that comes from leaning on and leaning into each other. And most importantly, I'm thinking about that sweet potato vodka, okay?" All right, fam. Next stop, Charleston, South Carolina, to talk with social media influencer KJ Kearney of Black Food Fridays, to learn me something about the Clock app. Peace and blessings. XOXO. Jade of all Jades. A special thanks to the Williams family of Delta Dirt Distillery. Harvey, Donna, Donovan, and Thomas, you all are a treat. Go to deltadirtdistillery.com to learn about what's next and where to buy. Season 2 of the Black Kitchen series, Innovators, was created by Heinz and Wyden and Kennedy and produced by the Meta Creative Co. Follow us at Heinz BKI on Instagram. And while you're at it, please take a minute to rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and let us know what you think. More reviews help more people find us. Subscribe to the Black Kitchen Series podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. I am the Jade of all Jades. Thanks for listening. See you in the next episode.